Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakathah for the brothers, Yahweh Shema Elathah Ba'Shem Yahushua for the sisters. This is the Wednesday night scripture breakdown class, and I'm Priest Officer Shadow Rock of the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out of 1 West Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yohana. Tonight, the title will be, has racism decreased in America? Has racism decreased in America? We hear a lot of people speaking about how they bringing that back again, or this shouldn't be happening because we already had the segregation, we already had the Jim Crow laws and this and that, and we already had them, doing the redlining in the school, in the the neighborhoods and everything. But has racism really decreased? Okay. Well, first, let me hit y'all with a scripture. I'm gonna go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 13. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 13. And it reads, consider the work of God. So we need to consider the work of God. Okay. So what was God's work? What did he do? Okay. For who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? Who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? So our oppressor is a whole lot of foul play and lies. There's been a whole lot of things that he said is so, but it's not so. Ask the politicians. Well, question the politicians, question the people. What did he say that wasn't true? Okay. Well, you know for yourself, when you vote for somebody and they promise this and promise that, a lot of that is not even going to come true. He just said that to get in the office. He said that because he was a Democrat. He said that because he was a Republican. Yet it had no weight in real life, in real time. Okay. We had a president. Everybody praising Obama and this, that, and the other. But Obama didn't do anything really for the ghettos, for the Black communities, or the Hispanic communities, or the reservations. Because if you're Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you are the chosen of God. See, and that's what they don't want you to know or believe. So the racism is still there. The racism is portraying itself every day. We're hearing different stories and different events that have happened. We've already spoken about Cyrus Carmack Benton, and how he got shot by Mr. Chow, and for 4 bottles of water, which he didn't steal, which was still in the store. And why is this man unalived? Why is this teenager unalived by Mr. Chow, an Asian Chinese individual who just mercilessly unalived this boy, shot him in the back. That's like a coward move anyway. Shoot you in the back where you don't see. All right. So he's actually, Mr. Chow is actually perpetrating what our oppressors always do. Our oppressors always have unalived us since we got off those slave ships, since we walked the trail of tears. You understand? And since they put ICE into activation. And from what I understand, ICE has a larger budget than the United States Marine Corps. A huger budget, a bigger budget than the armed forces, ICE. Well, you can thank your oppressor, that Trump guy. All right. You can thank him for that. But really what you could thank is his father, Esau. And all of our oppressors fall most of our oppressors fall under that. If they're Caucasian, their father's Esau. Okay, it's just fact in Bible. Esau was described as a hairy man, a hairy baby, hair all over and red. So that's who they are. They're red. Those folks is red. All right. So you can look at even in current events. You got the of course the Carmelo Anthony incident where he had to use self-defense against 4 individuals that came to hurt him, and who knows how far they would have went with hurting him, because you can unalive somebody like that if you get him on the ground and you bash his head. Understand? He'll lose all of his motory skills and all his motory reactions, and you could shake that brain so quick that he's unalive by the time he gets to the hospital or before. Okay, so that's one of the characteristics of our oppressor, because of course Metcalf, the one who was unalived by Carmelo Anthony, is a Edomite, which is our oppressor's sons. And really our oppressor, because he's acting like what his family, that's what his parents do. That's how his parents do. They see one of us out there, and they'll probably, if they had the chance, they would probably unalive us. Okay. So has racism really decreased? Has it gone away? Is it no longer in existence? Now, that was a teenager. Okay. I'm gonna go to a book that's rarely talked about. And this book here is called Tell All the Children Our Story. And it's by Tanya Bolden. Yeah, Tanya Bolden. Tell All the Children Our Story. This is the memories and memoirs of being young and Black in America. Being young and Black in America. And this goes way, way back. Okay. Oh, Shalom, Yahweh Shemala Athaba Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Sister Bathawana. How you doing, sis? Hope everything is well. Glad you're here. Welcome. Okay. So this is a story about the children who underwent slavery, who underwent, those Jim Crow laws, all those old time things that had happened back in like 1910, 1950. I mean, 1920, the 1930s. Okay. Now listen to this. This is page, read 41. Okay. I'll read page 41 right now. Now this is, I believe this is this is a father talking to his daughter. Okay. He says, "Well, daughter, when I was mighty young, just about your age, I used to steal away under a big oak tree, and I tried to learn my alphabets so that I could learn to read my Bible." Now, what's harm in learning how to read a Bible? You see, our oppressor didn't want us to read those Bibles. And we all know, a lot of us know about those stories where they didn't want us to read the Bible because they gave us a slave Bible to read, not the real Bible, a slave Bible, which said slavery is a just thing, a good thing, which it's not. Okay. So he said, "But one day the overseer caught me." So that's that overseer caught him on them plantations. I imagine he was on a plantation. "The overseer caught me and drugged me out on the plantation, and he called out for all the field hands." So he called all the field hands out there. All right. When he caught them trying to learn how to read under a big old oak tree. "And he turned to them and said, 'Let this be a lesson to all you darkies.'" All right. "You ain't got no right to learn to read." So we didn't have no right to learn how to read. Okay. "And then, daughter," he's telling his daughter, He whooped me, and he whooped me, and he whooped me. Okay. So he got beat up. He got whooped. He got abused, physically abused. Okay. And daughter, as if that wasn't enough, he turned around and burned my eyes out. Con, sis. All right. I'm glad you two are Most High in Christ. And burned my eyes out, he said. So this overseer burnt his eyes out. Okay. You know, but we're talked about as being savages. We're talked about as we always beat each other up, which those things are true, but it's true for every race. And I'm gonna explain why. Okay. So don't cry for me now, daughter. She probably was crying when she heard that. Okay. I want you to promise me one thing. Promise me that you pick up every book. That's why it's essential for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to learn how to read, do the research, learn what's in that Bible, study, research, come and search all. The Bible says to search all things and to prove all things. Okay, we have to search and prove all things. It's important, more so now than ever, because we're reaching into the last days. We're experiencing the last days as this earth falls apart, as America falls apart. You understand? America's falling apart at the seams, and there's nothing that's going to stop that. Okay. The Lord wants Babylon to fall because America is modern day Babylon. He wants Babylon to fall. And as you see around you, it is falling. Okay. Don't cry for me now, daughter. I want you to promise me one thing. Promise me that you're going to pick up every book you can and you're going to read it from cover to cover. Promise me that you're going to go all the way through school as far as you can. Okay. And one more thing. I want you to promise me that you're going to tell all the children my story. See, that's the name of this book. Tell all the children my story. This was a 5 or 6 year old. So like this was what 5 or 6 year old Tanya Stewart, Papa Dallas told. Tanya Stewart's papa, his name was Papa Dallas, that they would call it, okay, told her one day as they sat on the front porch of their home in Mississippi. And by the way, Mississippi is the birthplace of the KKK. Mississippi is the birthplace of the KKK. Shalom, Shema Elataba Hashem Yahawashai, Sister Kapar, good to see you. Welcome. All right. So her father was Papa Dallas. He's telling his daughter what happened to him just for trying to learn how to read. Okay. It burned his eyes out of his head by the overseer on that plantation. Okay. Papa Dallas told her one day as they sat on the front porch of their home in Mississippi, aware that he was blind and curious about the ugly scars around his eyes. The ugly scars around his eyes. You understand? Young Tonia had asked her Papa Dallas what had happened to his eyes. He probably never told her the horror of what happened to him as a young boy. He was a young boy. She no longer she only 5 or 6 years old. He was probably only 5 or 6 years old because he said, when I was around your age, right? Yeah, just about your age. I'm quoting in the book. So that's an example of some of the past atrocities that happened on those plantations. Okay. Now we looking at We're looking at 35 years in prison for Carmelo Anthony. We're looking about the funeral of Cyrus Carmack Benton for being unalived by Mr. Child. We're looking at the 1-year-old boy. What was his name? His name was Nolan, I believe. Was it Nolan? Bear with me for a second here. Yeah. This looks like, hold on for one more second. Let me look at this. Yeah, Cohen. His name was Cohen Wiley. Cohen Wiley was 1 year old, a 1-year-old. You can count their ages on your hands. You can count their ages right on your hands, yet they're unalived. Okay? And then the other ones were teenagers. Okay? Unalived, and one sentenced to 35 years. One was had a rush to judgment for Carmelo Anthony, and it was wrong. So they got to revisit that trial. They got to revisit those charges. They got to revisit and appeal the judgment that was passed on him to do 35 years here in 2026. Has racism really decreased? Has it decreased like everybody talking about? Well, our oppressor has one thing that he likes to do. Our oppressor likes to throw rocks and hide his hands. He likes to throw rocks, but he hides his hands. No, I didn't throw it. You know, you might as well say that I didn't throw it. Somebody else threw it, which we know that's a lie. That's a lie. As our Native Indian brothers said and sisters say, our oppressor speaks with a forked tongue, which means he's not telling the truth. You don't know what's in his mind. Okay? You don't know what is in his mind. He speaks with a forked tongue. So how can you get justice? How can you not say that you're a victim of racism? Okay. Then let's see. I'm gonna go through another one. But this Cyrus Carmack was 14 years old. He was young. 14? Wow. In Columbia, South Carolina. And this happened on May 28, 2026. All right. Mr. Child was that convenience store owner. Okay, so that's a new one. But from this other book, this is old. So now I'm gonna go back to something. I'm gonna go back in time and read you from another book. This is called 100 Years of Lynching. 100 Years of Lynching. And this is by Ralph Ginsberg. 100 Years of Lynching. 100 years. All right. Now this story, be ready for this one. This is horrible. This is also horrible. Okay. So this happened in 1918, February 13th, 1918. Well, actually it was in Tennessee in February 12th. All right. So I guess the Chattanooga Times published it on February 13th, 1918. But on February 12th, Jim McHelron, the Negro, was shot and unalived Pierce Rogers and Jesse Taggart, two white men, on Estill Spring last Friday, and wounded Frank Taggart. He was tortured with a red-hot crowbar. Tortured with a red-hot crowbar. Now, if y'all don't know what a crowbar is used as an instrument to pry apart like heavy metal or heavy wood. Okay, if you need to get in between it, you have to pry it with a crowbar. Crowbar is about 4 feet long, 3.5 to 4 feet long. That's the real actual size of a length of a crowbar. I know I used to own one for my car. We use them in our cars back in the day. All right. So it says two white men in Estill Springs last Friday and wounded. Okay, let me read it from the top. Tennessee, February 12th, Jim McHerron, the Negro who shot and unalived Pierce Rogers and Jesse Tigert, two white men at Estill Springs last Friday, and wounded Frank Tigert was tortured with a red hot crowbar and then burnt to death here tonight at 7:40 by 12 masked men. Wow. Masked men. And you're right, Sister Kapar, they are savages, yet they call us savages. See, you're going to find out that everything that they claim that we are that's negative, they do. They are. And it's really not us, because the lengths that they go out, that our oppressor goes, is like, man, he don't know when to stop. He don't know when to stop. Okay? 12 masked men. See, they got to be masked, just like you got these not Aryan Brotherhood, because that's a prison gang. Aryan, that Aryan white supremacist gang or whatever, that's a prison gang. But the ones that are outside, like the Proud Boys and all of that, you know, those are the ones that go around masked, like the KKK. They got to put on masks. Those savages have to put on masks. Okay. So a crowd of approximately 2,000 persons, among whom were men, Salaki, among whom were women and children, witnessed the burning. Of course, there were men out there. They witnessed that burning. That brother got burnt by a red hot crowbar. They had to put a good amount of wood up and get it started to make that crowbar, which is a very thick metal. Okay. I was gonna pry my give you an example, I was gonna pry my car trunk open when I had an accident and it was at the impound. That's what I was using my crowbar for at that time, to pry opening my trunk so I can get my possessions. That's how strong that thing is, and that's how thick that thing is. But they made it red hot and burnt this brother with it. Okay. Women and children witnessed the burning. The Negro was brought to Estill Springs on passenger train number 5, arriving at 6:30. A crowd of about 1,200 persons met the train and joined the captors. Shouts of "Burn him! Burn him!" See, they were out for this brother to get burnt like that. Now, I'm gonna look up when our other forefathers back in time to let you know that this is not a how would you say it? This is not a new thing. Okay, this is even, in other words, this is even biblical. I want to bring it out that this is even biblical. They said, the crowd was 1,200 people said, burning. What does it say? What happened when they spoke about Jerusalem? Let's see what happened when they spoke on Jerusalem. Okay. Let's see what it said. What it says, that what our oppressor said back then. Okay. There it is. It's in the King James Version. Let me see where I'm going to go. 137 verse 7. We're going to go to the book of Psalms 137 and verse 7. Okay. That's where we're going to go with it. And it reads, it says, "Remember, O Lord." Okay, I guess this was, but I don't guess this was David. This was our King David speaking to the Most High. It says, he says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. See, when I spoke earlier about our oppressor's father is Edom, these are the children of Edom. These are the ancestors of the slave masters. These are the sons and daughters of the slave masters who currently you walk amongst and see every day. The ones you see every day, the ones who put on those masks just recently and went over there and started a little protest, and you knew that they were white supremacists. Okay, they were that new story. Those are the children of Esau, of these people right here. Okay, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Edom is an Edomite. Ite means sons of. That's right, Bartholomew, you got that right. Our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. Okay, damn right, sis. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Raise it. Let's see what they meant by that. What did they mean by that? Raise it, even to the foundations. Okay, that is some serious stuff right there. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay. Okay. So raise it in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. I'm going to go down to the history. The Middle English raisin is to scrape, shave, erase, expunge, strip off, tear down, pull down, slice, score, tear, erase, to erase. Okay. Tear down, demolish it. Okay. File down, rubbed it, but really when you raise it in those times, that means to burn it down. That's how you erase it. That's what they were saying. Erase Jerusalem. They were speaking of I believe they were speaking of the temple. I believe they were speaking of the temple in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Yeah, that means burn it down, even to the foundations. See, that's what they did to this brother. They wanted this brother to be burnt to his foundations, which means to nothing. The foundation, that's the last thing to go after you got the whole building. The building has to be burnt down, scraped, erased, tore down, tear down. And the way you do that, erase it. If you burn it, you erase it. It ain't there no more. Ain't nothing but ashes left. Okay. So shouts of burn it, burn him, filled the air. All right. Yeah, and I actually had I had that precept right here written in the book. 12 men with faces masked stepped forward from the crowd and took possession of the Negro. Simultaneously, as if this was a signal, others scattered among the crowd, apparently trying to keep stricter order. Melharan, who was badly wounded and unable to walk, was carried to the scene of the unaliving, where preparation for a funeral pyre was begun. A pyre is a pile of wood that you prepare, a huge pile of wood that you prepare before you burn something. That's like an old word. Let me see if it's also see if this is in the Merriam-Webster as well. Pyre. That singer Bob Marley talked about a pyre like when they was out there. See, the definition pyre, you spell it P-Y-R-E, pyre, a combustible, which means flammable, a combustible heap for burning a dead body as a funeral rite. Wow, burning a dead body as a funeral rite? No, this was a Negro getting burnt because of hatred, because of the hatred of our oppressor for us. Okay. Broadly, a pile of material to be burnt. Okay. The Latin pyra from the Greek pyra, fire, more at fire. See, when you hear the term pyromaniac, that's where I know that came from. Pyromaniac, fire maniac. Pyromaniac started those wildfires in out here in California when they burnt up those communities. Okay, so let's see. Funeral pyre. Preparation for a funeral pyre had begun. The Negro was swearing with every breath and attempting to put part of the blame upon the son of Lynch, the Negro preacher who was inadvertently unalived yesterday by members of the posse. See, our oppressor is still, he bloodthirsty. Always been bloodthirsty. Still bloodthirsty. He was bloodthirsty when he unalived that young boy outside of Walmart when his mother was accused of stealing Pampers. He was bloodthirsty when he came out and actually shot up those schools, shot them kids at schools at Sandy Hook, and more examples like Dylan Roof, also bloodthirsty again when he unalived those 9 church members. Okay. And more examples and more examples. He had persuaded to kill the young men, to unalive the young preacher's sons. Okay. When the bar, I'm gonna go down a little bit on page 115. I'm on. All right. This is 100 Years of Lynching by Ralph Ginsberg. When the bar became red hot, that's that crowbar, a member of the mob jabbed it toward the Negro's body. Man, that had to be a gruesome sight, man. That had to be a gruesome sight. He jabbed that red hot bar at the Negro's body. Crazed with fright, the black grabbed hold of the bar. He grabbed the bar. While he was trying to jab him, he grabbed the bar. Okay? He grabbed hold of it, and as it was pulled through his hands, the atmosphere was filled with the odor of burning flesh. The atmosphere was filled with the odor of burning flesh. Man, now you tell me, past and present, what has changed? Okay, this was the first time the unaliver gave evidence of his will being broken. Scream after scream rent the air as the hot iron was applied to various parts of his body. His yells and cries for mercy could be heard in the town. After torturing the Negro several minutes, one of the masked men poured coal oil on his feet and applied a match to the pyre. Okay. As the flames rose, enveloping the black's body, he begged that he be shot. He was begging for them to shoot him after that. That's right, Botswana. Nothing's changed, sis. Nothing has changed. For our people, nothing has changed. And it's dangerous out here, man. It's getting more and more dangerous. We are America is reverting more and more back to these times. More and more back to these times. There is no mercy. This man was screaming for mercy. There is no mercy for you if you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. There's no mercy for you. So be careful out there. Be real careful, man. All right. After torturing the Negro several minutes, of the masked men poured a coal oil on his feet and applied a match to the pyre. As the flame rose, enveloping the black's body, he begged that he be shot. Yells of derision greeted his requests. Which means they didn't give a damn. They did not give a damn. Yells of derision greeted his request. In other words, his cry for mercy, they cried, yeah, keep burning. Keep burning. We ain't letting you go. You know what I mean? What you say, Sid Kapar? You said that's a sick mindset to find pleasure in torture. Yes, it is. Absolutely correct. It is a sick mindset. You have to be bloodthirsty in the first place to do these things. It takes strength, inner strength, to do these acts of hatred. You understand? This is way and far beyond just saying you don't like him because he's black. You don't like him because he's the YT. You don't like him because he's Native Indian. This is far beyond this. You don't like him because he's Asian, okay? Or East Indian, okay? The angry flames consumed his clothing, and little blue blazes shot upward from his burning hair before he lost consciousness. Okay. Now I think I'm just going to read up to that part. Oh, wait. I'm going to go a little bit further. Because I'm not sure if this is the one where they had. I'm just going to give y'all a little bit of when I read this book. When I read this book many years ago, one of the examples in this book is that these oppressors took about 1,000 bullets. 1,000 bullets is printed in here, and they put 1,000 bullets in one of our brothers' bodies while he was being lynched or while he was being burnt. One of the two. I don't remember which one, but I remember the amount of bullets that they put in him. Okay. But Thawanda, you said they will even at least shoot an injured animal so they won't suffer. But this beast has no mercy or compassion for us at all, sis. That's right. But Thawanda is right. They don't have no compassion for us, man. They don't have no type of compassion. So why are we looking for compassion? My question begs the question, why are we looking for compassion from him? Why are we looking for compassion from our oppressors? You know, when they have none. You know what I mean? Why are we looking for it? We've been looking for it for the 400 years since we got off those slave ships, since we did walk those trails of tears. All right. We were looking for it when they started that border patrol, but it never came, and it won't. Okay. The Negro was captured at 11 this morning. After about 1,000 shots had been exchanged. The posse, which was pursuing McHerron, surrounded him in an old barn 5 miles west of McMinnville. This morning at 4, the pursuers waited until the daylight before attempting his capture. Several times he attempted to get away, and each time was driven back by a fuselage of bullets. Okay. It is thought that he received his wounds in these attempts to escape. Many tricks to cause him to waste his ammunition was resorted to. Hats were stuck out from behind trees, and each time the Negro would catch sight of one, he would open fire, sometimes losing 2 or 3 shots. At 11 this morning, his guns were silenced. Okay. So it was a shootout. The posse rushed forward. About 15 shots were exchanged at this time, but no member of the mob was hurt. McHerron was found lying on the floor of the barn with one eye shot out. A bullet in his arm, and his body sprinkled with BB shots, that buck shots. He was then taken to McMinnville on a hand car, and from there carried to Tullahoma, thence to Estill Springs. Okay, there's a little more to this story in Tennessee. Okay, this is Estill Springs, Tennessee, February 13th, still there. All right. The body of Jim McHerron, the Negro who was burned at the stake last night, was taken down today from the tree which it had hung since the burning by his relatives. The lower waist of his body was burnt to a char. From the waist up, the body was cooked to the bone. The marks on his neck were the only ones that could be distinguished. So they could only recognize the marks on this brother's neck. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatah, brother Yaramah. What's going on now? Welcome, brother. All right. All right. While it is said to be generally known who the executioners are, no names are being mentioned. See, they won't mention their names. They know who they knew who the executioners were who unalived this brother, but they didn't bring up no names. They didn't want to get charged. See, they didn't want to go through that legal thing that's getting ready to go down, just like who was that, Carmelo, like Carmelo Anthony, where they're gonna revisit his case. Okay, or like the mother of that young brother, that young boy who got unalived in a car, okay, outside the Walmart for the false accusation that his mother stole some Pampers. She had the receipt. Wow. Yes, that's that no mercy. That's that bloodthirstiness that they have about us. All right. So, having accomplished its purpose, the community is now quiet and everyone is going about his business. See, the evil can't do nothing unless they can't sleep unless they do some wickedness. The evil don't sleep unless they can do some wickedness. And this was drastically wicked, horribly wicked right now. So now all of a sudden they calm and cool after they see that, after they know that his family pulled him down and they could barely recognize him. Okay. One of the members of the mob stood at the side with his gun, warning him not to give out any names. So the reporter gave the Times the facts of the burning over the telephone a few minutes after it occurred. He stated while he was telephoning the facts of the burning into this office, there was the brother, like I just read on the side, saying, "Don't you give up the names of the people that did it." See, that's crazy. That's crazy work right there. That is crazy work right there. All right. Let me see. Go back to this one. But see, they have such a lust for blood, man, that it's gonna be a brutal. The Lord is gonna be that brutal and much more brutal with them when it's time. They're gonna be much more brutal he's gonna be much more brutal to our oppressor in his time, in the day of his judgment. That's why Esau will never receive out of all the nations of the YT man will never get mercy from the Most High. They will never be forgiven for those sins that they've done to us. They will never be given those. They never, ever. Understand? That's why the Lord said, I will have a perpetual war against Amalek. I'm paraphrasing. He said, I will have a perpetual war against Amalek forever. Forever. The Lord knew that back in the times of Moses. He said that around the times of Moses, that he was going to be against Amalek. And Amalek is sons of Esau. All right. That's our oppressor. That's their same blood. That's that Caucasian blood. That bloodline. That Caucasian bloodline. Okay. What'd you say, sis? They kill us on a daily basis and hold themselves not guilty. But the Most High is taking notes and names and sees everything. That you couldn't say more correct. I couldn't say more correctly, sis. That's right, because the angels are reporting this. The angels are upon this earth witnessing and taking names and bodies. all right, and reporting and going back to the Most High and telling the Most High, reading off to the Most High the events that happen upon this earth for those who are against the children of Israel. In other words, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. That's right, sis. They'll be rewarded double for their crimes against us. That's right, Bartholomew. You're right on both of those. For the crimes against us. That's right. The Most High did say that, sis. Damn right. I'm gonna look this up look up this other thing about our oppressor and his lust to unalive everybody. We're gonna go into the King James. We're gonna go to Ezekiel 35 and verse 6. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 6. So you know it's facts when it comes out of history books and it comes out of the Bible. That's not just hatred. Those are facts. Okay. Let's see. Let's find Ezekiel 35. See, make sure that that is. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go to Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. See, that hatred is in this Bible. That word hatred is in this Bible. And that word hatred has different contexts that is written in this Bible in different circumstances. That one is where it is described as a righteous hatred by King David, who said this is a righteous hatred. Okay. And then there's others where it is a hatred from the Lord. As the Lord said, I hated Esau. Jacob have I loved, yet I have hated Esau. And of course, I'm paraphrasing. Okay, now this is another one. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. That happened to that brother with that crowbar. Man, how they mangled him, man. How they burnt him like he was a damn oxtail. Burnt him. Okay. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. The force of the sword is those guns. You unalive that that 1-year-old boy outside of Walmart with a sword. Sword, a modern day sword, is a gun. Those bullets will cut you in half. If you've been in the military, a 50 caliber will if you shoot someone across their torso with a 50 cal, you sever his body from his top from his bottom. It'll cut your body literally in half. You understand? That's the power by the force of the sword, which the power of the sword was given to Esau, which is another scripture when Esau and Jacob were getting their promises from the Lord. When Jacob got the birthright, when he bought the birthright from Esau, and when Esau asked his father Isaac, what blessings will I get? He said, you will live by the sword. And that's what's going on. America lives by the sword. You understand? Our oppressor lives by the sword, because that's what that's who he serves. That's the country, America. All right. They do a lot of terrorism and they use that sword. Okay. By the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. See, so this is not nothing new under the sun. As the book of Ecclesiastes says, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything has been done before. This has been done right here in the book of Ezekiel. All right. Is it any wonder why we're being unalived here now in 2026, 2025, and ever since we got off those ships in 1492? Okay. Around that time. By the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. It was a time where our iniquity had an end as far as the Lord was concerned. We had already was punished by God for walking away from the law, statutes, and commandments, which is what is the reason why all these things are happening to us. We need to understand and start reading, you know. Our ancestors got their eyes burnt out because of trying to learn how to read. So we need to read these books. That's why Papa Dallas told his daughter to learn how to read and read every book you can possibly read. Learn through understanding, read through understanding, because reading strengthens your mind and makes you have to envision that character or that scene and that circumstance so that you can see when he says Jake was running through the bushes. You have to envision that somebody's running through the bushes. Okay, it makes you exercise your mind, so you get that type of mental dexterity, that mental how would you say it? That increase of knowledge, the increasing of your knowledge through reading. Okay, so in a time that our sins were at an end, this bloodthirsty oppressor. Let's see what it says in verse 6. This is Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood. I will prepare thee unto blood. You understand? The Lord said, therefore, as I live, and the Lord is a spirit, so he lives forever, I will prepare Esau unto blood. In other words, I will prepare Esau unto blood. I will prepare our oppressors unto blood. The Lord is going to prepare our oppressors unto blood. Let's read on. And blood shall pursue thee. Blood will pursue you. Okay? Look at all them children that got drowned at that. There was this was a little while back. I'm not see if I can find it. It was a little while back. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm gonna skip that one for now. But anyway, since thou is prepared, he'll prepare thee unto blood. Blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, okay. Since you don't hate blood, and you took that crowbar and you made it red hot and you seared that man's body. Since thou hast not hated blood, the Crusades, the ones that the Knights of the Templar back in the times of Portugal and Spain, when they first started slavery, the Knights of Templar and the Crusaders went through unaliving people who didn't convert to Christianity. They unalived them with the sword. You understand? All right. So since thou hast not hated blood, blood shall pursue thee. Okay. Even blood shall pursue thee. The Lord said it. You don't hate blood. You can see their characteristics at those rock concerts. It was back in my time. It wasn't Pink. I was saying Pink Floyd. It wasn't Pink Floyd. It was Kiss or one of those Black Sabbath, those rock bands where the guy, I think it was I forgot his name, but he took a bat. Oh my goodness, man! I tell you how filthy and disgusting our oppressors are. He took a bat and bit his head off right there on stage during a rock concert. All right, I don't know if it was Twisted Sister, Black Sabbath, or KISS, one of those devilistic groups that our oppressor so loves to go here. All right, he did that. He took a bat and bit his head off right on stage. So he was actually drinking the bat's blood. Okay, since thou hast now read it again. All right. Ezekiel 35, verse 6, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Ozzy Osbourne. That's right, sis. The water for that. Thank you, sis. That's right. Ozzy Osbourne. I was going to say the other guy that, oh my goodness, this other guy was equally disgusting. The one that they had to pump his body because he had like a quart of semen in his stomach. That nasty guy. All right. Ozzy Osbourne. Damn right. Yeah, he bit a bat's head off at the concert. And you just tell me that's of God. Those people are of God. Those are the chosen people. The Jews are related to them. The ones that call themselves Jews, they're related to them. Yeah, yes, sis. Yikes, to say the least of the words. Yikes, sis. That's right. That is some horribly disgusting, nasty, lustful, debauchery type of wicked, horrible, damn, tremendously evil acts that our oppressor conducts himself and behaves day to day to day to day, yet they call us savages. The nerve, like we say in New York, the nerve of the bomb. The nerve you got to call us savages? I beg to differ. All right. And then speaking of that, now, ISUPK, we always talk about not celebrating any holidays. None. We speak about this all the time. Don't celebrate 4th of July. Don't celebrate Christmas. Don't celebrate Father's Day, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, Easter. Don't celebrate your birthday. Damn it. Yet, that's what America does. And a lot of our brothers and sisters are out there blindly going forth, celebrating these days. And they don't know that they're following their persecutor that bites bat's head off and have intimate relations with the same sex and gets a quart of semen in their stomach. Okay. Now, this is what they did on the 4th of July. Over 400 teenagers are arrested at Newport Beach. Wow, Newport Beach. Boy, I hate New York, Newport Beach. I got a person, I hate New York, Newport Beach. They racist. I experienced racism out there and was justified in what happened to me. And it was when I was fresh out of the Marine Corps. Fresh out. Those cowards, they were cowards too. They were straight up cowards. That's a very racist area in California, Newport Beach. Over 400 teens are arrested in Newport Beach in the Balboa Peninsula neighborhood. Damaged property, businesses, looting, out pavilions, grocery stores, blocked roadways. Okay? These are these teenagers, over 400 teenagers. Man, do that sound familiar? LA riots? Do that sound familiar? All right. Even during the blackout in New York, they were doing the same thing when I was there in 76 and in 69 and 76. But I witnessed the one in 76 more, realistically, and what really happened in my experience when I saw all those crowds join together and bust through the damn grocery stores and break open the glass, going through the glass so quick that they were cutting themselves as they went through the glass. A lot of people got injured trying to loot and grab stuff. Yeah, they were justified. Our oppressor justified in saying it, but they do the same thing as I'm reading right here. Over 400 teens arrested at Newport Beach in Balboa Peninsula neighborhood, damaged businesses, looting pavilions, grocery stores, blocked roadways, thousands blocked emergency access, thus endangering families and first responders. The police responded to 102 emergencies. Also, 10 fires, see, because they love to burn stuff, from Friday to Sunday during the chaotic incident. Okay. I believe they made around 700 arrests during those days. They made about 700 arrests during a holiday that if you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian are not supposed to celebrate, for things that just like happened in this book, 100 Years of Lynching, for things that happened in the Bible when they said, raise it, raise it, raise it, even unto the foundation. They were saying, burn it, burn it, burn it, even to the foundations. They wanted to, they burnt. They didn't just want to. They shouted, burn Jerusalem, burn the city of Jerusalem, down to the foundations. Is it any wonder Christ's biggest enemy? Who is Christ's biggest enemy? Who is Yahushua, his biggest enemy? Yahushua is Christ in the Hebrew. Who is Yahushua's biggest enemy? If y'all answer it in the chat if you know. Okay. So that's the modern thing. Yet you hear it and seeing it on social media all the time about, those blacks are always, they fight each other, they killing each other, they can't stand each other. They may be true in that, but if you see the video get the video of these teens on 4th of July, they were crashing out on each other. Not only was they burning stuff down and looting and breaking the stores and lighting things on fire, they were beating the hell out of each other. So how can you throw rocks at a glass house and think the glass house is going to stand up? Barthawana, you are smart, sis. That's right. Exactly. You read my mind, sis. The Romans. That's right. That's who Judas got. That's who Judas went and got paid 15 shekels of silver to snitch on our King Christ, Yahushua, and say, the one who I kiss when I walk up to him, that's the one who is Christ. So you can get him and arrest him, because I know who you're looking for. See? You understand? Oh, you saw the video, Kapa? That's right. I'm glad, Khan sis. I'm glad you saw the video. Wild and untamed. Man, to say the least, sis. Just like the thought about the one. Both of y'all, to say the least, where you said yikes about the one and Kapa, where you said wild and untamed. Those are to say the least. Because mostly it was just on a large, huge scale of wickedness, desperate wickedness, lustful danger, all kind of nonsense, all kind of whoredom, all kind of things that never should be done. That if you a parent, where the YT parents of those teenagers are? Because all of them, most of them on our video were YT. You know it, sis. They mostly were YT kids. Those is YT kids in the Caucasian area of Newport Beach. That racist area of Newport Beach. You know what I mean? They were showing, they were throwing down, bam, 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 pop, pop, bam. Yeah, on each other. So the nerve of you saying that about my Black brothers and sisters and my Hispanic brothers and sisters and my so-called Native Indian brothers and sisters doing that to each other. Well, guess what? We learned it from you. We learned it from you. You know what I mean? We didn't act that way before we got off them slave ships. We learned that from you. And I was going to try to find this, something just passed my mind here. Something passed my mind. But anyway, that's what they do. That's exactly what they were doing. They were out there going off on each other, going off on each other, you know? And it's just like some other examples in this book, 100 Years of Lynching, where when our ancestors were being lynched, and this story is true, they would cut the body parts and sell them. They were selling our livers, our kidneys, our fingers, all right? Probably the genitals. Yeah, the genitals too. Okay. All kind of pieces and parts from our ancestors because it fulfilled their lustful uh 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 lustful behavior. Okay. I was gonna try to find one in here, but it'll take a little bit. It'll take a little bit take a little bit of looking at right now. But that's what they would do. They would just go off on each other. You know, if you've seen some of those what do they call those parties that they have, a Maj party or something like that, a Maj party where they beat each other up at the concerts? They do the exact same thing. So how you going to throw rocks and hide your hands? You're going to throw rocks and hide your hands and say, yeah, that's what those black folks people, that's what black people do all the time. They always do those things. Mosh pit, that's right. Sis, the mosh pit. Mosh pit. They get in the mosh pit and be beating the hell out, beating each other's brains out while they listen to rock music. You know? Just like my man Ice-T said that in his rap. Now ask yourself, who's the Mac? Who's the Mac? All right. Them rave parties, right? Them rave parties. Rave with the mosh pits. That's right. They be raving. Yeah. A lot of them get injured in them places, man. They do that to themselves. They cut themselves up. And a lot of times you see them out there piercing. They started all that piercing stuff, piercing themselves along with those stinking Africans that do that stuff. All right. They pierce the hell out of themselves, man. They're the ones that get them rings and put them rings around their neck until their neck is like 4 feet long, like a giraffe. How many brothers you see in the neighborhood, in the hood, with long necks like that and with 1,000 million piercings? You see our oppressor with all them piercings. They pierce everything that they can pierce. Damn near like what in that movie was it Boomerang, where the father, when he came over, and the father said, we eat everything on the pig from the rooter to the tutor, piercing everything on their body from the rooter to the tutor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's sick. It's sick as hell. Damn right. But yet they call themselves civilized gentlemen. I'm a civilized gentleman. I am an excellent provider and citizen in the United States. I'm a patriot. Wow. And you do that now? You do that garbage? You do that garbage? So is this hatred or facts? I believe it's facts. You're going to find at the end of this, these are facts, okay? You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. All right. This another one. Let me just look at this one. In Houston, October 12th, and this is 1917, 800 oil field workers, whites, Mexicans, Germans, and Italians employed at Goose Creek, a suburb city, seized Bert Smith, a member of the race, and brutally hung him to a tree and riddled his body with bullets and horribly mutilated him. Horribly mutilated him. Horribly mutilated it with sledgehammers, excuse me. Horribly mutilated his body with sledgehammers? Wow. We used to bust concrete in the Union when we want to redo a sidewalk, we'd use sledgehammers, or we use jackhammers to crack that concrete. They're cracking his body with it, mutilating his body with sledgehammers. Since thou hast not hated blood, and butcher knives after cutting it down with butcher knives also. See? Smith was accused of committing an outrage on the employer's wife. You know, that's like an Emmett Till story. That probably didn't even happen. Smith, who was employed as a cook on the oil reservation, made a complaint to the head of his camp concerning indecent remarks that were recited to his sister and mother, who came to see him occasionally, and pointed out several men who had annoyed them. See, they just did crazy stuff. This is Smith, his sister. So he got unalived with the butcher knives and all that because he's defending his mother and his sister for those men probably saying some lewd remarks to them and racial remarks like UBB. Y'all know what I mean by that, UBB. Y'all sisters know what I mean. All right. So a crowd of YTs was standing nearby and heard Smith's complaint, and it is claimed that a heinous crime against Smith and his relatives was hatched by this bunch. And they always say, and another thing that just caught my mind while I'm reading this on the social media, the YT people are always talking about how we have to be more than one of us when we go up against them in a fight. That we're always jumping up. But damn near each and every crime lynching in here was conducted by a mob, more than 5 to more than one person. So where you talking about then? See, it's such, the YT man is so hypocritical as well. A lying hypocrite. All right? A lying hypocrite. All right? So, hatched by this bunch. So that's who started beating his body with sledgehammers and cut them open with butcher knives. All right. A week later, Smith's sister was on her way from Houston to a camp in Goose Creek and was seen approaching by 3 YTs who secluded themselves behind trees, like behind a bush, shrubbery, bushes, plants. They hid behind the planters. When the girl passed and they leaped out, gagged and bound her and carried her body into the woods, and 3 in turn committed outrages on her. See, after satisfying their beastly nature, they stripped the girl of blood-stained garments and hung them over her head out on the limb of a tree. She was found late in the afternoon by several small boys who were out berry picking. The day following, one of the men came near Smith and said, "Hey, nigger, did you see that ugly black wench they picked up in the woods yesterday? Wow." Just came up to him and said that they knew that was their brother. He knew that was her brother. All right. What'd you say about the one? He said, "Our only way out is to get in the ISUPK under Commanding General Hunter." That's right. That's right. They had the most high protection against this beast. Yeah. So that's exactly right. Join this school, stay in here and learn and get the spirit of the Lord in you. Get the spirit of the Lord, because when it's time for us to go against them and they go against us, the Lord is going to be on our side. And if the Lord's on our side, who in the hell could be against us? When the Lord is on my side, I ain't worried about it no more. You understand? Like I said, yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I fear no evil. That's right. That's right, sis. Yeah, how much hatred must you have to mutilate a body after the person's unalive? That's right, Jeremiah. Damn right. That's damn right, brother. You know, how much hatred do you have? You know what they call that, Jeremiah? They call that a crime of passion. It's like a crime of passion. Usually a crime of passion is somebody that you got jealous of because they went out with another man or went out with another woman and had an adultery with another man or woman instead of you, who was supposed to be her man. And they got so mad and angry, they went out and chopped your body up with butcher knives, smashed your body up with sledgehammers. That's a crime of passion. That's almost like a crime of passion with these oppressors, man. These oppressors do it like that. That's the kind of hatred that they have. You understand? It's hatred with a passion. You understand? I was in that. I'm gonna get off this this story a little bit, and let me see if yeah, right here when we read verse Ezekiel 35:5, he says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. That's what it is, Jeremiah, a perpetual hatred against us. That's what that is. And the perpetual is also a continuous hatred. It's also, that hatred is never going to stop. It's never going to die down. Just like has racism decreased in America, it's never going to die down. It has never stopped. It's always been here through the Bible, through history, and in the current. Okay, I'm gonna give you all another example of a current story that caught my eye today. This is let's see. Now listen to this. In Fayetteville, Georgia, a waiter. Now this was a female, a waitress. Okay, received a $700 tip. Damn, she made some money that day. That sister got $700 for one tip while she was waiting tables. You understand? That's excellent. Good thing, right? Well, let's read further, see how good this really was. And was fired the next day. She was fired the next day. You know what I mean? Management told her that they would put the tip under review for an unreasonable 120 days. Damn. So you an employee, you got to feel good about getting a $700 tip. Man, you be thinking the Lord was with you that day. All right? You got a $700 tip. But management said we're going to take it under review, and we're not going to give it back to you till 120 days later. Okay? She got emotional when they did that. She got emotional, which I can understand. The man would have got mad as well. All right? And because she got emotional about it, they fired her. Instead of trying to just calm her down and just go and let her take her wins, or at least give her half of it or something, they fired her. The next day she was fired. And this was a single mother of a 4-year-old autistic girl. She was 4 years old and autistic. Now, if you have autistic kids, you understand that you're gonna need a little more money than just the average child. They need special things. Warrior. That's 4 months. 4 months. That's right. I'm gonna call you Jeremiah. I'm gonna call you Jeremiah. But 4 months she had to wait. And she got an autistic child at home. Lord knows how many Huggies and Pampers and diapers and toys and towels and all kind of things that she needs to maintain that child. That child's autistic. That child does everything just on the spur of what they think, and an emotional, unreasonable, unreasonable thought and behavior patterns because they're autistic. You need a little extra money. You need those extra diapers. You need those extra things. What if they throw up in the car? What if they eat too much and throw up in the car? What if they throw up on your floor? What if they throw up on your carpet? You got to get a carpet cleaner to clean it. What if they urinate or defecate on your carpet? You got to get a professional carpet cleaner to clean that. And that $700 tip would have helped out tremendously. You understand? But you got to wait 120 days. It's like you getting reprimanded for doing an excellent job. If somebody felt to give you $700 for just being a waitress, you understand? And that's right. Damn right. Medication. Shoot. Medication. They're going to need clonidine and the Risperidol. That costs money. All right? Medications. So that they can calm down. Because autistic kids get hyper. You understand? They get hyper. They get angry. They throw fits. You understand? They might break a window. You might have to pay for that window. They might do anything. But because you was an excellent employee, you got to wait. Because you're a so-called Negro. And Negroes have to be questioned at every turn of the corner. You got to be observed at every turn of the corner. You cannot trust a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. You cannot trust them. All of them. They all fight each other. They all steal from each other. They all lie. They all are out to get. The fathers don't take care of the kids. The mothers don't take care. They're out whoring. They're out prostituting. They're all drug addicts. And thus and so forth. You understand? Which y'all know is a goddamn lie. Out and out lie. Be careful who you say has a fault or defect without looking at what you do. You understand? But the one what you say, they don't understand the Most High made them like this to utterly destroy them for having a hatred for us that they don't know why they even have. That's right. They don't even know why they got this hatred for us, and the Most High made them to destroy them. And what is that scripture? I had it in here. I was going to read that as well. You know, you about 1 second off of what I was going to read about the water for that. Yeah, is Ecclesiastes 7:13. I might have read this already, but I'm going to read it again. Just for what you said, sis. I'm going to read it again. Ecclesiastes 7:13. Let's see. Yeah. Consider the work of God, the work of the Most High. For who can make straight, Salaki, which he hath made crooked? For who can make that straight, which he hath made crooked? Damn right, because he created them to be destroyed, because the Lord made the YT man crooked. Look at him. He's corny as hell. It's corny. He's dry, dull, bland. Like they say, bland. That means it don't got no salt, no flavor to it. All his stuff is bland. He bites off of every single last culture. Who's it? Tom Cruise, the actor, the YT actor, portrayed himself as the last samurai. So he was a samurai swords. He turned Asian on us. Charlton Heston, the old actor, he played Moses. So he was an Israelite. You understand? Who was it? It's another one. It's another actor. It's a few. It's quite a few of them. This other one, he played Geronimo, and he was a YT man. He played Geronimo. Okay, they take every culture, they take it as if it's their own. Even the Koreans took black culture, and all the nations are trying to take black culture and trying to say the things that we are, who we are, and try to kink their hair up like it's an afro, but they got to do all kind of stuff to it, just like we were doing in reverse, trying to make our hair straight. Now they want to make their hair kinky in Korea and talk all that black lingo, all the slang that we got. You know, like, yo, what's up? They want to be that. They want to be just like us. You know, I'm chilling up over here, man. This is straight up. You know, but they're Korean, but they're the YT man. Get your own culture. Be proud of your own culture. Leave ours alone. We started it. We did it. We cultivated it. When you stripped everything from us, you stripped everything. You know what I mean? That's right, Kappa. It's going to be a glorious day when they're destroyed. It's going to be glorious. And just like General Yohana said, when Babylon falls, I'm going to sit on my bed and get my drink. Back then, he said, I'm going to get my Gentleman Jack and get me a tall drink. Me too. I'm going to have my Elijah Craig or something. I'm going to have me a tall drink when Babylon is falling. When we all see it. When we all know it. That it's going to be destroyed. That's going to be a glorious day. Sure enough, if my name ain't Shadow Rock, which means God is glorious, it's going to be a glorious day. You damn right, sis. You know what I mean? Damn right. But the Lord said that which is I made crooked cannot be made straight. So don't put your dealings with the YT man unless it's business. If you're making $1, then do it. Or you having some kind of advantage from dealing with them, then do it. But if it ain't that, then don't deal with them. Don't try to be like them. Why are you trying to be like your oppressor? Man, come on. He trying to be like you. But you can't prove that you're not trying to prove that our culture is way better than theirs and that we are better than them. Because they're trying to be us. The greatest form of of admiration, of worship. The greatest form of worship is to mimic that person or that thing, to be just like that thing. That's the greatest form of liking, of how they say it, admiration. That's admiration. The greatest form of admiration is try to be just like him. Like, why is everybody trying to be like Michael Jackson? Everybody trying to be like Michael Jackson. They try to be like Prince. They try to be like James Brown. They try to be like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. All right? That's the greatest form of admiration, is mimicking, impersonating someone. Okay? You said Romans 9:21. Let me look it up, Jeremiah. You're probably right on this. Let me look up Romans 9:21. Oh, went past it. Romans 9:21. All right. Hath not the potter power over the clay, of the same lump to make one vessel into honor and another unto dishonor? Damn right. That is a great, accurate precept of what I just read. That's an accurate precept, Jeremiah Khan. You right and justify with that. Damn right. I'm gonna read it again. This is Romans 9:21. Hath not the potter power over the clay? When you're a potter, you're forming the clay. You're forming the clay into a vessel, a bowl, or a vase, or a plate, or whatever. Okay? You have power over the clay. That's the Most High has power over who he created. He created us in his image. Okay. He created us to do things. Okay. He created the good and the evil. He created good and evil spirits. Okay. So power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel into honor. That's Israel. Y'all know that's Israel, right? All right, Jeremiah, you know that's Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. He created us unto honor because he chose Isaac instead of choosing Ishmael. He chose Sarah's son, not Zipporah's son. Okay, if I'm right, that's Zipporah. That might not have been Zipporah, but she was an African anyway, and she had a son named Ishmael, who's the father of the Arabs. But the Lord chose Isaac unto honor. He chose him because he created him, and he chose him to carry out his work, just like our King Christ is carrying out his work. So the same lump to make the vessel unto honor, who's Jacob, and unto dishonor, who is Esau, because Esau hated his birthright and sold it to Jacob. And the mother knew that he hated his birthright. A mother knows her sons. Their mother Rebecca knew that Jacob would honor that birthright. But she also knew that Esau would despise that birthright. And Esau, coming out of the woods, tired as hell, hungry as hell, said, let me sell this birthright, or I'm gonna die if I don't get something to eat. Well, if the Lord gave you something and you're supposed to have it, you better die. You better die and keep the birthright than die in dishonor. But as we read, the Lord that made that which is wicked cannot be made straight. Paraphrase it, cannot be made straight. He made them crooked, and they crooked as hell. You understand? Let me see if I can get to this one. Now, this is another book right here, and I'll be going into more of this book in the coming classes, but I'm gonna go into this book. This is called Black AF. Y'all know what that means. History. And this is the unwhitewashed version of America. Story of America. The unwhitewashed story of America by Michael Harriot. Michael Harriot. Some funny stuff in here. I ain't gonna lie. It's funny. Some of this stuff is funny. Okay, let's look at the story of Christopher Columbus and the birth of America, how America came to be. Okay, let's look at the story, a little quick story on the side that he wrote about Christopher Columbus. Let me see if I can get that. All right. Okay, I'm not gonna read all the story, but I'm gonna go to page 36. Although Columbus's friend had lost money on an investment in the voyage. See, back then they didn't know how to make maps. They were making maps. If you was a map maker, you could make a lot of money. And they used to think that it was a violent, big, giant sea creature when they were sailing and exploring the seven seas and like the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. The sailors wouldn't come back. They'd be unalive. They'd be lost at sea, dead at sea. All right. But they thought it was a sea monster, but it wasn't. They found out Henrique was a Portuguese. The King Henrique they called him Henrique the Navigator, Henry the Navigator. He was the one who actually got the maps, had these map makers make up the map, and they found out that the sea maps, they were dying because they were going against the sea current and the wind was killing them. So they made maps on how to, sidestep those currents, the sea current, so that they could get to their destinations. That's what this was about. So Columbus made a contribution, but he wasn't convinced Columbus should get all the credit. After all, it was mostly the banker's idea. See, there was this banker. that said he could make maps. And we're going to find out. These are all the YT men, okay? So the banker went to Portugal. The new ruler, King Manuel, like his great uncle, Henry the Navigator, Manuel the Fortunate was all about exploration and expansion. Manuel, however, wasn't worried about Spain's exploration of the West Indies. He was content to let Spain have a few islands, all right, because Portugal ended up owning Africa. Okay, in 1498, the Portuguese explorers had finally found a sea passage to India. On the way back, the Portuguese Armada found an island east of the Pope's infamous line. So the Pope made a line to separate, the possessions, the territorial possessions between Spain and Portugal. Okay, an arbitrary line of a man. Pope Alexander drew an arbitrary line of a map. He declared everything west of the line, including the islands discovered by Columbus, belonging to Spain. Portugal already owned Africa, which the popes decided east of that line. Okay. That's right. Hebrew Dave. Shalom, shalom, brother. All right. Shout out to ISUPK. You damn right. Under the command of General Yohana. That's right. Okay. So this, because I'm going with the banker, because this banker, you're going to find that this banker was a liar. This banker was a shiesty dude. Okay. That was Columbus's friend, Christopher Columbus' friend. All right. Now, let me go down to the banker showed Manuel charts and maps of places that no one had ever seen. Okay. Manny was impressed. This is the King Manuel of Portugal. He was a new ruler. He was impressed by this banker. And he thought that he knew how to make maps, which was a lie. He didn't know how to make no damn maps. All right. The charts and maps of places no one's seen. The slick tongue, that's how they described him. The slick tongue financier, because he was a banker, even wrote 2 books detailing his travels and became extremely popular in Europe. Enchanted by the tales, Manuel, that king, convinced the banker to go quit banking and join the Portuguese expedition, which happened. Okay. The banker would, as the Armada, which is a ship's official cosmographer, that's the map maker, cosmographer, there was only one problem. The banker was lying. He was lying. Okay. He was a banker. It's not like he studied atlases. Atlas is a map. He didn't study no atlases. He brought from gas stations and downloaded Google Maps, accurate maps. See, he joking in here. The author, he'd be joking too. All right. Were treasured back then. And his smooth talking banker bamboozled Manny. He bamboozled him. Okay. Into believing that he charted the known maps, even though he didn't even know how to pilot a ship. See, that's a story of America. That's a story of America. A town which is built on blood and iniquity. You're reading about the iniquity right now. The blood were those slaves that they took, those Portuguese explorers and those Spanish explorers that took from West Africa, which was our people. They weren't African people. They were our people, Hebrew Israelites. Okay. Manuel fell for it. Half of the expeditions, he told King Manuel, were totally made up. He was making up, yeah, we went here, we sailed there, we did this, we went there, but he made those up. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yashab Barakatah, Trooper Shalat. Uh-oh, I almost called you officer. You're going to be officer soon. Shalat, welcome, brother. All right, I thought you wouldn't show up, but welcome. I'm just kidding. All right. So Manuel fell for it and put the banker in charge of Portuguese Armada's next trip. So he put him in charge of the trip. Man, I would have never gave you a driver's license or let you drive my car if you didn't know how to drive. All right. During the journey, the crew slowly realized that their cosmographer didn't know anything. The banker didn't even know he was in charge of naming things. So he just called it the January River or Rio de Janeiro. Y'all know Rio de Janeiro. All right. As for the new land, later merchants looked around and recognized a tree growing in abundance, the Brazil wood, and began referring to the new island by its most abundant export, the land of the Brazil. That's how they named Brazil, by the way. All right, and it stuck. By the time the expedition returned to Portugal, the banker's ruse was up. So the jig was up on that banker. Okay, Christopher Columbus's friend. Is it any wonder? All right. In fact, the banker was so terrible at his job that more experienced navigators had to explain that they hadn't been island hopping. They were exploring one giant landmass. Salaki. The banker couldn't let Columbus one up him. I guess that's what that came from. When you get one up on your neighbor. So he ran back to Spain and started spreading the rumor that Portugal had found a new continent, all because of him. Wow. See, that's their lies. That's those lies, man. So that's the premise of the title for this class. Is it hatred or is it facts? Okay. The banker couldn't let him one up him, so he ran back to Spain, spreading the rumor that Portugal had found a new continent, all because of him. He even produced a letter that most historians now believe was a hoax, which means was a lie, okay, which gave him credit for everything on the official Portuguese map, including the new continent in its banal name, the New World. Remember them old movies? You'll see they came to the New World. Them old movies, they always talk about that. All right. After Columbus died in 1506, the banker began spreading the idea that he had taught Columbus everything he knew. This is hilarious. About exploring, and the public started to buy it. In 1507, someone took all the geographic information from Henry the Navigator, Portuguese explorers, and late Christopher Columbus and combined them into one atlas, the introduction of cosmography. The book was meant to accompany a mass-produced wall map and globes. It had no new information and held no historical significance except for the fact that it was published, that fake letter from the banker, and the author suggested a new name for the New World. I see no reason why anyone could properly disprove of the name derived from that of Amerigo, the discoverer. Amerigo the discoverer. Is that familiar? Those of y'all been in camp, Shalat and Jeremiah, y'all know what we're talking about. Amerigo, the discoverer. A man of sagacious genius. A suitable form would be Amerige, meaning land of Amerigo or America. See, America, land of America. 3 decades later, Grandurus Mercator's influential map would name the North and South continents after the charlatan Amerigo Vespucci. See, that's why we say when we're in camp in ISUPK, like the brother says, shout outs to UPK, because we teach the truth. This is home of the truth. Understand, that's why when you hear us in camp say you cannot be African American, because in these ancient days, it was always a custom for someone who discovers a land to name it after themselves. So America was named by Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo Vespucci. So if you're a so-called black man and say you African American, Africa was discovered by Leo Africanus. So those are two YT men. How in the hell you let Jesse Jackson tell you that you African American? In other words, you're two white men. You two YT men. Huh? You're two YT men and you're black? I don't think so. I beg to differ. Let's weigh this one out. All right. Let's make sense of all this. Make it make sense. You know what I mean? This dude was a charlatan. He was a liar, man. He was a liar. Understand? And he got away with it. After even and benefited after Christopher Columbus's death, who didn't even think he was Italian. And he was Italian. Okay. Amerigo Vespucci, even though he had done nothing, Vespucci's name would be entrenched in history, making his namesake the perfect one for a country built on deception and lies. Well, let's go to Habakkuk 2 and 12. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 12. Let's see what the book of Habakkuk 2 and 12 says. You know what I mean? Where are we at? See, so when y'all start looking at that social media stuff, be careful because a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. And they're highly on that side that's against you, that wants you to see you fall, that wants to tell you lies, that wants to actually deep down inside lynch you. Okay. But there's been some lynchings, right? There's been a few lynchings, quite a few lynchings lately. Okay, here's 2 and 12. Woe, which means destruction. Woe means destruction. Woe means to be unalived. Woe means war. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, like we talked about with the brother with the crowbar, with the red hot crowbar that they were trying to jar him and stab him with it. And he grabbed it and they pulled it, and you could smell burnt flesh when they pulled it. That brother was scared to death and he was unalived. Okay. So woe unto him that built that Salaki. Woe to him that built the town with blood. And what's the color of this book? You guessed it, red. 100 Years of Lynching by Ralph Ginsburg. Okay. That buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. They established New York by iniquity, America by iniquity. So the Lord says, woe unto him who did that. All right. And as you read, this was a big lie by this YT banker and Christopher Columbus. All right. By both of them and more. Okay. So let's finish the story. And I'm reading from this book called Black AF. I don't want to curse right now. Black AF History. The story, what is it? The Unwhitewashed Story of America by Michael Harriot. All right. Get this book, man. Check it out. Give it a read. Give it a look over. All right. Now, where am I at here? Amerigo Vespucci, a country that's built on deception and lies. Now we're going to go to John chapter 8 and 44. I know a lot of y'all are familiar, but we're going to go to it anyway, because when you got a history book and the scripture come together, you got ISUPK, the home of the truth. In other words, you got the truth. Because you can't deny what's written from history and what's written from the Bible, which in itself is historical. Okay, so let's go to John chapter 8 and 44. And it states, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer, an unaliver from the beginning, and abode not in the truth. See, he didn't live in the truth, just like his sons, these bankers, and Christopher Columbus, all who said that they discovered America but didn't even know how to read a map, didn't know how to make a land vessel or make a map to use to navigate that sea vessel. Okay, so it says, woe unto him. I mean, it says he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. There was no truth in that banker. That banker was lying. Even the crew found out and knew that, man, something wrong about this dude while they was on the voyage. I could imagine they saying that, because some of the natives, our ancestors, was like laughing at them, because they had to go to them to learn how to make the map to get across the sea. Okay, they didn't discover America. This place was called Azareth, which is the ancient name of America. Okay, because there was no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, yeah, I know how to make maps. Told Queen Isabella, I know how to make maps. Told King Ferdinand, King Ferdinand, I know how to make maps. I know how to navigate across the sea. Then she said, okay, I commission you to go do it. You go to India. You go ahead and explore, because you know how to do it. And I believed all your stories. And he was lying from every breath to breath. He was lying through his teeth. Okay. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. This man was speaking for his own benefit, his own gain for him and probably his family. Okay. For he is a liar and the father of it. Yeah, I mean, he's a liar and the father of it, man. All right. And of course, I mentioned that they broke every treaty that our brothers Gad, the so-called Native Americans, every treaty, peace treaties and all, they broke every single last one of them. All right. You understand? They make themselves in the movies. I'm the last samurai. I'm Moses. Charlton Heston said he was Moses. Cleopatra was a YT woman. That was, what was her name again? Cleopatra was, what was that actor? Elizabeth Taylor. Right. Elizabeth Taylor, Charlton Heston, Tom Cruise, all of them played other cultures. They always want to be like everybody else because they have no culture. They have no truth. The truth was not in them. That which is crooked cannot be made straight. They were estranged from the womb. Where's that at? Which one is that? All right. There it is. I'm going to Psalms 58. Psalms 58 verse 3. Psalms 58 and verse 3. Where are we at? The wicked are Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner played he played somebody else too. Not only did he play Yul Brynner played the Pharaoh, right? That's right. He played the Pharaoh in Moses. That's right, Buttawada. Damn right, sis. You saw it. I saw it too. Shalat saw that too. I know he saw the story of Moses with Charlton Heston. I know he saw that. Probably Kapah too. He probably saw it. That's right. That was Hugh Brenner. You understand? He played the Pharaoh. he wasn't melanated. I mean, he wasn't no brother. He wasn't a African. Okay. Yeah, that was you, bro. Okay. The wicked are estranged from the womb. So when the Lord made them, like Jeremiah was talking about the potter forms in the scripture states that when the potter forms that vessel, okay. Yeah, Kapah, you know it too. So that when he formed that vessel, okay, he made it estranged. It was estranged from the womb. He made it crooked. He made it vile. He made it cruel. He made it merciless. He made it a liar, and he made it an unaliver. So they could not be that way. Even Ali said, well, there's probably some good white people out there. There's some good YT people out there. He said, but how could I tell if there was a bunch of snakes and they all came at me? I'm not going to pick out the one that's poisonous and the one that's not poisonous, because there are some good YT people. Yeah. But how the hell do we know which one is which? You know what I mean? How do we know which one is which? So we have to take those precautions, man, because our enemy is as evil as rust rusts. Let's see. Let me finish this. Let's see if I can find that one too. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Sound familiar? Well, why does the fake Jew say that he's a Jew when he is not? Why does he say that? Because he's, according to the scriptures, he's a liar and the father of it. He abode not in the truth. That's why he says these things. I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. And then they call that when you say anything against them, they call that anti-Semitism. All right. No, but it's facts. Because what we're going to look at Revelation, right? Is it facts or is it hatred now? But they call us a hate group, right? So is it facts or we just hate? Did we or did we not go through facts? I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. The Lord was speaking through John, and he was speaking about us because he knows our tribulation. He knows our poverty, that we poor. He knows that we're getting afflicted. We're getting afflicted by the police all the time. Our kids and children are getting unalived in cars and can't even speak yet, barely walk. Haven't grown to even be a pre-teenager. Not even a toddler yet. Damn near not a toddler. Just becoming a toddler. You 1 year, you're a toddler. You're just coming into being a toddler. And you're unalived in a car outside of Walmart because your mama was accused of stealing Pampers that she did not. Our poverty, our affliction goes deeper and beyond any nation on the face of this earth. 400 years of captivity, of slavery, ongoing child molestations, ongoing rape, ongoing lynching still, ongoing police brutality, and the unaliving us on our very streets. Okay? I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. We're rich because we have a rich spirit, because we love you more. We love our oppressor more than we love ourselves. We'll do damage to each other before we do anything to an oppressor. We fought in each and every war of our oppressor. Crispus Attucks was the first black man to die during the War of Independence. Okay, the first one. And it says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. Black, Hispanic, Native Indian, y'all don't say y'all Jews. We're in ISUPK. The very reason we got this school is because we're giving you back your culture to let you know that you are God's chosen, that you the real Jew. Not the one who says they are Jews. Because it says here, which say they are Jews and are not. Khazar Empire. They're Turkish people. Russian Turkish people. But are the synagogue, the very synagogue of Satan, which is my other book up there. All right? Know what you're dealing with. Know who you are. Learn from us, because that's the only way you're going to really know. And that's the only way you're really going to know how to get away from what's coming to America. Because a lot of hatred, a lot of destruction, total destruction, need I say, is coming to America. Learn how to get away from that by serving our Creator, the Most High God, Yahweh. Keep His laws, statutes, and commandments, and you'll only learn them here. We teach them as police officers in this school. We teach them. We follow them because we follow what we practice, what we preach. We have to. We're commissioned to do this. All right. Con. Oh, shoot. Michael Love, I might have been calling you Jeremiah. Y'all not the same one? I thought that was just his name. Salakia on that, brother. Michael Love, you was coming up with those good precepts. Salakia on that. All right. Because I'm aware you in the class too. So looking at this, man, understanding that he calls himself a Jew and he is not. Okay. This charlatan banker that came up with that America came up to be named after is not one who lives in the truth. ISUPK is the home of the truth. Okay. Let me see if it's more on the story. I'm still in the Black AF history, the unwhitewashed story of America. We need to learn more about unwhitewashed history, man. Like Public Enemy used to say, history, not his story. Because that's his story. I don't need to know his story. His story is full of lies. He can't tell the truth to save his life. All right. He wouldn't tell the truth to save his life. Oh, I'm reading on page 36. Although Columbus's friend lost a lot of money on his investment in the voyage, he recognized that Columbus made a contribution, but he wasn't convinced Columbus should get all the credit. Okay, that's the other one. I'm still like on that one. I'm on the other page. Okay, oh, that's right. So they put this Amerigo Vespucci in charge, the one that they named America, the banker. They put him in charge of its maps. Wow. That's like them putting up the uneducated pilots to fly a plane. You don't got no driver license, they ain't been to driver school, but you behind the wheel. All right. Its maps, the pilot training, and ship licensing in 1508. Spain was mining copper, gold, and farming sugar in their new colonies in Hispaniola, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and throughout the Caribbean. The conquistadors forced the indigenous islanders into servitude and unalived those who didn't submit. But in 1512, the Catholic priest convinced King Ferdinand to pass a set of regulations that officially forbade enslaving colonial natives. The laws of Burgos originated from Catholic friars who disliked inhumane treatment. The priests wrote damning letters and pleading sermons suggesting that the Spanish should convert the new Indians to Christianity instead of abusing them. So you think that they were some cool people? So the Catholic papacy or whatever, they were like, don't abuse them, convert them to Christianity. Well, let's see how their intentions are. Let's see what's the motive behind that. Remember, these is all white tea men. All right, we just speak in Portugal and Spain. Okay. The priest wrote damning letters, right? Sermons suggesting the Spanish should convert the New Indians to Christianity instead of abusing them. The priest's protests didn't matter. The indigenous people were dying anyway. The natives had no natural immunity to European illnesses, so the entire Caribbean population died from diseases. Hispaniola's native Taino population went from 500,000 to 200 in less than 50 days. A European illness, man. Some filthy folks, man. And I heard, you heard it on social media, they don't use washcloths anyway. They don't use a hand towel or washcloth. All right. It didn't matter. The indigenous people were dying anyway. The natural immunity to European illnesses, so the entire population died from diseases. Okay, we read that. All right. Because they were literally allergic. When I read this, I was like, damn, allergic to the white tea man. The Taino Indians were. They were allergic to them. Man, we had civilizations. We had cities and laws and things that we practiced. We had the dietary laws. We had the cleansing laws, clean and unclean. We avoided unclean. We stayed with the clean. That's why we didn't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobsters. All right. Literally allergic to white tea people. It took 40 years for 90% of Cuba's population to disappear. Puerto Rico took 30 years. Man, quicker. But those priests were not altogether altruistic, which means they weren't altogether good, righteous. Okay. Let me look this up. Let's look up. They said they weren't altruistic. What does altruistic mean? Okay. Hold on, man. I don't know why my phone is going slow right now. What does altruistic mean? So make sure I spell it right. Man, why is this? What is going on with this here? Bear with me, I'll get it. Bear with me, I will get this. Altruistic. 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 Okay, so they say the popes weren't this. Relating to giving to altruism, showing unselfish concern, So they wasn't showing any unselfish concern for the welfare of others. Okay. So although they were writing all these damning letters about being enslaved, they really didn't give a damn. Okay. The priests were not altogether altruistic in their protests. This is not about human rights. They fully understood the building of an entirely new society required human subjugation, which means slavery. Nearly all of them agreed that there was a better way to go about colonizing the New World, African slaves. Desperate, the Spanish colonizers took the priests' advice and brought African slaves to the New World. But because Portugal still owned the African human being market, which is the slave market, the first Africans in the Spanish colonies were actually bought from Portuguese slavers enslaved on the Iberian Peninsula. That's Spain and all that. And then hauled as cargo to the New World. The Spanish believed that these Africans would be immune to European diseases and sturdier. See, that's the tribe of Judah. We're pretty strong. We're not allergic to them. Feel like I'm allergic to them, but we were sturdier, so they believe we made better slaves. That's why we were enslaved on a tremendous level. Okay, across the mid passage, the transatlantic slave trade. All right. So that's what they thought. Sturdier. Meanwhile, Portugal was making a fortune from harvesting the Brazil wood trees, growing sugar in Brazil. Then Portugal discovered an actual gold mine in Brazil. You see, the South America turned out to be a profitable investment. But how was Portugal's small population supposed to colonize two continents, which are the Americas, and extract the resources, take the resources out of an entire new world? The answer brings us back to Nuno Tristão and Antio Goncalves. Remember, Tristão and Goncalves purchased that first batch of humans. When the African negotiator paraded out the prisoners, those 150 captives, including European Jews, Berbers, and some Africans, as a devout Christian, Goncalves knew the church wouldn't appreciate him bringing Muslims back to Portugal after ousting the Moors from Spain, after kicking out the Moors from Spain. The Europeans already likely had their own religion, as did the Jews, but Goncalves figured that the darker Africans would be, the less likely to flee captivity. See? That's why our ancestors went through hell. Okay? And not speaking on all 12 tribes, because all 12 tribes went through hell. All the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, Guatemalans, the Dominicans, you know what I mean? Colombians, all right, and Native Indians, West Indians, all right, Haitians, all of the 12 tribes. And I missed out a few, okay? And they're not saying they went through, that they didn't go through hell, but they thought that we would be sturdier and stronger. All right. Be less likely to flee, would work harder, and be easier to convert to Christianity, because you see a black church on every corner in the hood. All right. That's right. Devils, Barcelona, they damn sure are. Because the YT man is a devil the Bible speaks of. Okay. And we mean deceiver, because as you see, that banker deceived Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand into thinking that he could make a map and knew his ways and did so many voyages, and he didn't even know. The crew knew he didn't know. The whole navigation crew didn't knew. Those experienced seamen, those men that was how would you say it? Not pirates. Damn, not pirates, but what do they call them? The fishermen, not fishermen, sailors. Damn, sailors. They knew that this banker, Amerigo Vespucci, didn't know a map from the back of his hand. All right. After ousting the Moors from Pennsylvania, from the peninsula, the Europeans already likely had their own religion, but Gonzalez figured out the darker would be likely to flee, less likely to flee captivity, work harder, be easier to convert into Christianity. One simple-minded decision would later be reinforced through Henry the Navigator's rules. Catholic decrees, Casa de Guen, rudimentary version of corporate regulations and stereotypes that would last until this very day. Damn, that sounded like the Willie Lynch. That sounded like the Willie Lynch, which is lasting till this day. Putting the old against the young, the male against the female, the light-skinned Negro against the dark-skinned Negro. All right? Separating us. But he knew that this version would last, that we would convert into Christianity and be like the blood of Jesus, and be like, Christ knows my heart. I have a special relationship with Christ. You know what I'm saying? Christ is my husband. Wow. All kind of stuff, man. All kind of stuff you hear in these Christian churches, which is a lie spread by the YT man to keep you in chains, to keep you in captivity. All right. Would last until this very day. Goncalves scanned the diverse parade of prisoners and asked himself which ones would make the best slaves. Then he chose the black ones. See? He chose the black ones. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm going to go with this. I think I grabbed all three of these books, took a little bit on all three of them. I wanted y'all to know what's really going on in America. Is racism decreased in America, or has it increased? Now, as we nearing the end of this class, you can answer the question. You know the answer to the question. You know, I'm gonna say it in Hebrew. Khan. I mean, no, I'm gonna say la'al. Wait a minute. Has racism decreased in America? La'al, which actually means no. Y'all know it. Racism has not decreased in America. And is it hatred or facts? That's right, Barthawan. It's increased, sis. That's right. That's right, Shalada. It never changed. What changed? Nothing. Just the date. The date's changed. It's not 1508 no more. You know, it's not 1507 anymore. All right? All y'all getting it right. That's right. Increased. Y'all can answer the question. You know what I mean? It has increased. Okay? And they're the biggest ones to always blame everybody and not scrutinize themselves. They scrutinize everybody's doing everything on a grand scale, knowing that it's the complete opposite. Like I said before, they throw stones and they hide their hands. I didn't do it. What did President Clinton say when he was with Monica Lewinsky, when he knew that his wife Hillary Clinton would be pissed off and the public will be pissed off? I did not sleep with that woman. Hey, they may not have been laying down, but he was sitting down and she was kneeling down. All right. So that was a lie. And what did Nixon say? I am not a crook. I am not a crook. Yet the Watergate incident was pinned on him. The whole Watergate incident was pinned on him because he did that. You know what I mean? So it's true. You are of the father. You are of your father, the devil. Okay. You are of your father, the devil. Excuse me. And this is another one that goes into what our people always do. That our people always do this. They trust in the system. They trust in this system. They say the opposite of what we just found out and stated in this class. They say racism decreased in America. Racism ain't around no more. I'm equal to you. We're equal. You treat me just like it. I treat you just like that. You know, I don't know why they're saying all of that. They just claim themselves, and that's another big thing. They always call themselves the victim. Well, they want to demonize that word victim, just like they want to demonize what is it, anti-Semitism, when it's still another big lie. It's still another lie. All right. Let me go into what we do. Because we're rich in spirit. Being rich in spirit means we have a loving heart. Naturally, black folks have a naturally loving heart. Hispanic folks will bring you in their house and treat you like family. They've done it to me before. Yeah, when I needed it too. They did it to me before. And I know they have many stories, because that's how our Hispanic brothers and sisters are when they're being right. They're not always right, but when they're being right, they'll invite you into your house. They'll feed you. Right? They'll take care of you for a little bit till you get back up on your feet. You know, it used to be like that a lot. But I don't know about as much now. But I know that's their nature, because they're rich in spirit, just like the black man and woman and child. Okay? And just like the Native Indian woman and child. Man, woman, and child. All right? So we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. And it says, woe to the rebellious children. Woe to the rebellious children, because Judah is rebellious. So-called Negroes are rebellious. Our children are rebellious, and so are we, because we're those children. All right? Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. So we taking decisions, and we're taking suggestions and decisions and guidance from someone other than the Most High God. Not of me, that cover with a covering. So we deal with all our incidents that cover. The covering is man's philosophies, laws, and traditions. We take that on quick. A lot of men's wives will listen to their boss more than they listen to their own man, their own husband. They'll listen to that boss and do exactly everything he said to the hilt, to the utmost. They'll do everything he said. Make sure you get all those damn reports in there, Shaniqua. Shaniqua, I want that by lunchtime. Shaniqua, can you take them out, drive them, get gas up the car, and take them on that event and bring them back by 5? Yes, sir. Shaniqua, can I get a plate? Damn, I worked all day. What the hell you think this is? Can't you cook on your own? What you talking about? I'm not your daggone slave. You not my daddy. That take a cover with a covering. You take on the YT man's philosophies. When we're battling and struggling with our mates as a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, we're struggling against the spirit of the YT man and a masculine demon. All right? That they add sin to sin. They're adding sin to sin when they do that. Taking on his philosophies, you're adding a sin to a sin. All right. 2, verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt. What is Egypt? What is Egypt? But I'm gonna say, hell no. I hear you, sis. Is hell no. I mean, I'm still laughing what she said. But walk down into Egypt. So you adding sin to sin, but you walking down into Egypt. What is Egypt? Egypt is America. Don't believe me? Go to Washington, D.C. Go to any courthouse and look at the structure of the courthouse and the structures of those houses, those official government houses and businesses in D.C. And they all have those pillars in the front. Do you know that those pillars in the front of the courthouse, those big, huge pillars, they originated as a design in Egypt? That's an Egyptian structure. And look at the back of your dollar bill, you're going to see the pyramid. They have walked that go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth. You didn't even ask God if you should listen to the YT man. And Egypt does mean Mitzrayim, which does mean bondage. That's right, Barthawana, exactly. Egypt means bondage. You go walk right into slavery, walk right into your slave master's house, and you don't ask God what you should do. When he's going to tell you to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you're going to go to the YT man and listen to him. Shame on you. All right. To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, or should I say Donald Trump, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, which is the governments, the Democrats and Republicans and the MAGAs and all of that. You understand? You trusted in America. You trusted in this system that has been systematically destroying you and destroying our families for centuries. For centuries. Just like in the movie Claudine, when they said that the James Earl Jones should get out of the house. He should get out of the house and let Claudine, who was Diane Carroll, take care of them kids, and they'll give her a government check. Same thing they're doing to the sisters now. You can't have a black man in your house if you want to get government money, if you want to get Section 8. And that's why they gave our sisters that power that they shouldn't have to kick you out of your own house. Because really, that's your own house. The man is the head of the house. But you trusted in Pharaoh. You walked down into Egypt and trusted in the shadow of Egypt. So those things is what we need to avoid, and we need to get away and be very mindful that racism has not decreased in America. And voting, that's another thing. Voting for his policies. That's right, Barthawana. We don't do that voting here. We're not no Democrat and Republican. We are Yahawashians. We follow Yahawashai. We follow Christ. Christ is our king. So we don't vote on Christ. God voted on us. He voted for us. If you want to use that word vote, he didn't vote. He chose us. And through Christ, he is going to establish that government on earth, that perfect government. Christ is our king. The perfect government that's going to overthrow, cast down all the strongholds in America, cast all these strongholds down, get rid of all these governments, get rid of the MAGAs, get rid of the Proud Boys, get rid of the all of those white supremacist things, man, groups and organizations, skinheads, Nazis, and all of that. The ones that want to unalive us, the KKK, the Posse Comitazi, get rid of the gay and lesbian movements, the LGBTQ movements, understand? So that we can have a perfect government on this earth, man. The kingdom of God is at hand. Therefore, I say, follow his law, statutes, and commandments and make sure that you live in clean, that you live in right by the laws of Leviticus, and learn it from us, because that's the only way you're going to learn it the right way. In the ISUPK, under the command of General Yohana from 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.